Welcome back once again, all of my low carb friends, and for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Today I have another very easy keto cookie recipe for you. Today we are going to make keto chocolate thumbprint cookies. These are so easy and so delicious. And if you want a printable version of this recipe, you can check out my website at janet'sdeliciouslowcarbkitchen.com. You can find a printable version of this recipe and other goodies there for you. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see lots of easy, delicious, low-carb keto recipes, make sure you click that subscribe button and click the notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button. That way you can be notified every time I put out videos every Wednesday and Saturday. And if you'd like to help support the channel, make sure you scroll down in the description of the video. You'll see some affiliate links. Anytime you purchase anything using those affiliate links, a small portion of your purchase will go to me and help support the channel. So while you do all that, let's get cooking. In a large mixing bowl, combine 90 grams or around 3/4 cup of coconut flour, 28 grams or around 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 10 grams or around 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum or gelatin powder. You can leave this out, but I recommend leaving it in. It helps keep the dough flexible and stretchy. And since these cookies have to be shaped and not just dropped on the baking sheet, the xanthan gum or gelatin powder helps keep the dough together better, and there is less of a chance of your dough becoming crumbly after it's baked. So, as I said, you can leave it out, but I suggest you leave it in for best texture. Add 100 grams or around a 1/2 cup of the granulated sweetener of your choice. I'm using granulated monk fruit sweetener. You can use whatever granulated sweetener you want. You can also adjust this more or less according to how sweet you want your cookies. Keep in mind that you're using cocoa powder in these cookies, so make sure you use enough sweetener to take off the bite that cocoa powder has. If you want to, you can also add some dry spices or seasonings to give your dough a little bit extra flavor. That's up to you if you want to do that. Whisk or sift all the dry ingredients all together until they're fully combined and there are no lumps in the dry ingredients. Add 3 large room temperature eggs. Make sure they are room temperature so they stir in more smooth. Stir the eggs into the dry ingredients until everything is fully combined and all the dry ingredients are moist. Add 3/4 cup of butter that's been melted and cooled. Make sure it is cooled. You do not want to add hot butter. Stir the butter in until everything is fully combined. Add 60 grams or around 1/4 cup of the milk of your choice. Make sure your milk is either warm or room temperature. You do not want to put in cold milk. The warmth in the milk helps to keep the dough soft and keep it flexible so that it doesn't dry out when you're trying to shape your cookies. Add 8 grams or around 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract or the extract of your choice, whatever flavor you're wanting in your thumbprint cookies, that would be the extract that you would put. You can also adjust this more or less depending on how dominant you want that vanilla flavor or whatever flavor extract you might be using. Stir everything all together until everything is fully combined and you have a smooth, moist dough. Scrape down the sides of the bowl and push all the dough to the center of the bowl. Then shape your dough into a large, smooth ball. Massage the dough ball in your hands for about 1 minute. This is going to help you make sure that you have the right texture in your dough, and it's going to help it to absorb any excess moisture. This dough is a very moist dough, but as you're massaging it, it should not be sticking to your hands. If it's sticking to your hands, then you need to add just a tiny bit more coconut flour so it does not stick to your hands. After you've massaged the dough for 1 minute, form it back into a ball and place it back into your mixing bowl. Then place it uncovered in the freezer for about 10 minutes. This is again going to help the coconut flour and xanthan gum absorb some of the extra moisture and firm your dough up a little bit so that when you go to shape your cookies, they keep their shape. While the dough is in the freezer, preheat your oven to 350 degrees and line 2 large baking sheets with parchment paper, then set them aside for a minute. After your dough has firmed up for about 10 minutes in the freezer, remove it from the freezer. Scoop the dough out about 1 tablespoon at a time onto your prepared baking sheet. Roll each one of the dough scoops into a tight, smooth ball and place them back onto the baking sheet about an inch apart. These cookies don't really expand a whole lot. Coconut flour doesn't really rise or spread, but they do puff up just a little bit, so you do want to leave some space around the cookies so that they can have air around them and have a nice even cook to them. Make sure as you're rolling the ball that they stay nice and smooth. Once the dough is all rolled into tight, smooth balls, use your thumb or the back of a teaspoon and press down into the center of each one of the dough balls to create a well in the middle. Be careful not to poke your thumb all the way through. You don't want to make a hole. You want to make a well or indentation in the middle of the ball. If you push all the way through and have a hole in it, then your filling is going to stick to your parchment paper, and you don't want that. So make sure it is just a indentation in the middle of the ball. As you're pushing your thumb through, make sure the dough stays together and stays nice and smooth. If it does start spreading apart or you start seeing any little cracks or anything in it, then gently push it back together and make sure those cracks are all smooth. Once the cookies are all shaped, spoon anywhere from 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of the filling of your choice into the indentation that you've made in the middle of your cookies. You can put any filling you want. You can put jam, you can put baking chips, you can put nuts, you can put fruit, whatever you want. I'm putting about 6 or 7 white baking chips in the middle of each one, and then I'm also going to be doing some that have about a teaspoon of jelly in the middle of it. But again, that is up to you, whatever filling you want. Once your cookies have all been filled, place them in your preheated oven. Bake at 350 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes or until the edges of the cookies are slightly darkened. After the cookies are done baking, remove them from the oven. They will be soft, but they will firm up as they cool. Allow them to cool on the pan for at least 10 minutes so they can firm up really well. After 10 minutes and the cookies have firmed up, transfer them to a wire rack and allow them to cool completely before eating them. Once they've cooled completely, you can eat them immediately. If you do have any leftovers, store them in an airtight container at room temperature for up to 5 days. Eat and enjoy. And that's a recipe of the day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you click that thumbs up like button, click that subscribe button, leave me a comment if you want to. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make, and I'll do what I can to get those out there for you. And as always, keep cooking.